This podcast is a 98 Studios production.
Today's the day, baby.
Today's the day.
Today's the day.
Today's the motherfucking day.
Today is the day.
Today's the day.
Today is the day.
Today's the day.
What up, everybody? Welcome back to Today's the Day with Zack Anderson, as always. And today we have Mr. Dusty Rhodes. I'm excited for this one. This has been in the works. I checked our texts. I fact-checked this over a year, trying to line this one up. And I appreciate you so much for being here. I know you're busy. Thank you.
I'm not the most articulate person, so coming on something like this is I'm a little bit hesitant.
Hey,
and I cuss. I think we just talked about that. So hopefully Zach can edit some of this stuff out, right?
We're good. We got the whole team. No, dude, I people like you are exactly who I want on here. Like you're one of the coolest dudes I've ever met.
Oh, man.
Since when I first met you. There's a lot of things, and I'm excited to talk about all the things and all the reasons that I wanted you on here. And I'm sure I'm gonna discover new reasons. Like, I didn't even know he was gonna bring that. But first and foremost, Dusty, I've known you for a long time, actually.
Yeah.
I've known you, we're coming up on 10 years, so almost a decade, through your kids, through your daughter, Kiana.
Is that it? We
awesome.
moved back here. I think Kiana was 15.
Yep, and I was 14.
Yep, okay.
Yep, and I just turned 20. Oh, maybe it's 11 years. I just turned 25. Yeah, wow, okay, 11 years. So over a decade. I've known you a long time, and you and Jane both, actually.
Yeah, Jane's a badass.
She is. She's amazing. You guys have been, like, honestly, kind of a constant. Always there, and you guys have been amazing. Every interaction I've had with you guys has been amazing.
Thank you. It's because of her. So
she really is. We need to have her on here too, huh?
Oh, hell yeah!
I think we will. I think we should.
Incredible story.
I love that. So help everyone get to know you a little.
Okay,
bit. Dusty Rhodes, where are you from?
Yeah,
give us the rundown.
I am 54 years old. I live in Orem. I have a company called PROLOOK. I started it when I was a sophomore in college. Long time ago, over 25 years ago now. Kind of.
Is that crazy?
It's so crazy.
Like to say that out loud, say 25 years ago, is that crazy?
Yeah.
Does it not feel like that? Or does it feel like it's been every minute of that?
No, I don't know. I guess it does and it doesn't. You start thinking about people that we used to have on our team and then, well, what's that person? Then it seems like a long time ago.
Yeah.
But, like I'd mentioned, we just came back from Cabo from the President's trip and, those relationships seem brand new, but they're 20 plus years, it's like, what?
That's so crazy.
Still fun to hang and gosh.
And it's
so
probably
fun.
a totally different world from what it started as. And I'm excited to get into that whole story.
Yeah, it is.
Where are you from? So originally.
Okay.
Let's break it. Let's take it.
Break it down. Okay.
Time.
Let's start in the beginning then. So my namesake father, Rhodes, last name of Rhodes, died 3 months before I was born. My mother, moved in with his parents. She had 4 kids and me in the oven. Moved in with them out on a small ranch in the middle of Nevada, underneath Mount Wheeler, if anybody knows where that's at, just outside of Ely, Nevada. So basically central Nevada. It's desolate. If you grow up there, you love the desert. You call it beautiful, but it is. It's desolate. And so she married another rancher from another area, showed up one day and asked my grandpa if he could buy some potatoes. My grandpa said, "Son, you're not here to buy potatoes, are you?" And he's like, "No, sir, I'm not." And he goes, "I'll go get Connie." So they married. That's who I call my dad. The guy was amazing, stepdad. His wife had died of cancer. Everybody out there dies of cancer. We're right next to the testing site. And so, everybody had one form or another of cancer from downwind. But yeah, so he was a rancher, like I said, small town, Pahranagat Valley is this little green valley in the middle of Nevada that had 2 lakes and a couple hot springs. And, as kids, it was heaven, a lot of hard work being on a ranch, but heaven as a kid where you just ride your motorcycles everywhere and do whatever you want to do. And that kind of spilled over a little bit in the teenage years where we might have taken a little bit too far. Those stories probably got to stay untold, but yeah, my in a small town like that, you do what you can to have fun. I mean, we played every sport possible.
So you were the youngest of 5.
I was the youngest of 5,
and you guys were just getting into trouble, having a good time. That does sound like a childhood dream. Like as you get older, you probably are like, okay, I would need something more than that. But as a
so
kid,
there was a big distance between me and the next child, right? So when I
really,
I think I was 11 when he graduated from high school.
Oh,
and then
gotcha.
he stayed and took care and helped my dad with the ranch and really ran the ranch. Did all the
Dude, I
swath
didn't
and
know
baling,
any of that about
hay
you.
hauling. Yeah, I know. I think back at it, on it, and I talked to my kids about it, and every spring would take the 1,000 head of cattle or whatever they are out to the range, and then you'd go out and check on them almost every day, and then in the fall you bring them back in and you feed them all winter, and you get up at 5 a.m. You can't go on vacations because you got to feed cows, so my dad was he was an amazing man. I'm super fortunate to have him in my life and to raise. Imagine taking on, like, you just took on five kids. It's
And did
crazy.
he already run a ranch when he took on the 5 kids?
Yeah, already
So
had
he
a ranch.
just-
He had a dairy farm at the time,
Oh, wow.
which is even harder. Then you got to be milking cows every morning. So
Yeah.
fortunately, by the time I could do that, he sold the dairy farm and we just had a regular ranch.
That's awesome.
But yeah, and then my mom, they were very religious people. My mom taught early morning seminary for 28 years or something like that.
Which
And
is a
it's-
commitment. Early morning seminary is a
be
commitment.
up at 4 a.m.,
Yep.
pick up the kids along the route, go to the church and teach them. I wasn't there very much during that time, but
Yeah.
but she picked up all my friends and then my dad was a bishop and so on and so forth. So good people that lived how they felt like they should live.
Yeah. And then so you grew up all the way through high school there.
Yep.
Graduated or
one little.
one
So I got
little
kicked
stint?
out of the house as a junior.
Okay.
I kind of spun that. One of my talents, I think, is that I reframe. So if it's something bad that happens, I spin that shit.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so I told all my friends, oh yeah, I'm going to go to Vegas to play baseball. It's a bigger school and a little more, maybe I can be looked at or whatnot. And I did. I went down to play baseball, but
It was 80%
that was not
true.
it. Yeah,
It
that
just
was
wasn't
not
the
it.
reason.
It was, my mom basically tossed me out. So my sister took me in and I went down and then eventually made my way back for my senior year. But yeah, I lived down there and down in Vegas, and I had lived down there every summer anyway, because when I started helping on the ranch, I figured out early I had really bad allergies, and so my eyes swell all up. And so every summer, my dad would send me down to his buddy that owned a construction company, and we paved roads.
Got
Imagine
you.
paving roads in Las Vegas. So it's already 110.
120 degrees.
And we're right on that hot black asphalt.
So that's like that's a perfect person for a rancher. Just allergies out the ass. You can't do any of it.
Couldn't do anything.
But you weren't gonna get out of hard work, so they sent you to go pave roads.
That
in
was
Vegas.
one thing my dad taught me. Yeah, work for everything you get.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, huge lesson, right? So from there, graduated. I always loved learning, always loved school. And so I did okay in school. I got a full ride to University of Nevada, Reno, went up to UNR on academic scholarship, left the next quarter on academic probation.
Perfect.
I was, for the first time, kind of out on my own. And
Were you just having too much fun, or was it just too much for you? Are you just
I had 2 jobs.
Okay.
And one of those was a graveyard shift. And, I made it to school probably the first 4 or 5 days. And after that, it was just, I couldn't do it anymore. And so I'd show up here. And I remember one day I walked into class and the teacher, it was economics, and teacher looks at me and goes, who are you? And I said, I told him my name, and he said, oh, and he looks at his book and he said, son, if you get it 100% on every test from here on out, you will still flunk my class.
You're like,
picked up my shit and left.
I gotta come out of here. Cool.
Yeah. But, I mentioned earlier, I came from a religious area. I'm in 98% Mormon.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought, I saw all my buddies going on these missions. I thought, man, I need to straighten out and go on missions. So it took me a little bit to do that straightening out. But I headed on my mission, went to the Philippines, Mindanao, southernmost island. Interestingly, they don't even have Americans there anymore. On Mindanao, it's
Why is
too
that?
dangerous. War. There's a lot of fanatical Muslim down there, and so. In fact, when I left, they closed the mission. We joke about we closed that mission.
You guys did. They're like, this isn't safe.
We originally joked that we baptized everyone there was to baptize, and then it came to we closed that mission. But
that's reframing right there.
yeah, there's reframing.
Right.
So I came home. My buddy also served in the Philippines from Alamo, and he came home and he brought me a pair of shorts. He had a suit maker there that made suits for all the missionaries. He had him make me a pair of basketball shorts, Larry Johnson shorts. And who was my favorite player, played at UNLV, Grandmama Island. You guys are too young, but I've loved him. Everybody else loved him. Everyone I wore in front of him was like, dang, where'd you get those? Can you get me some? You know, and it was back when shorts were super long and I had long and everybody's trying to get them long, but they couldn't.
Yours
you
were
couldn't buy them.
made.
Oh yeah, mine were custom made. So I talked my buddy into that same buddy into taking me back and introduced me to the guy. And that started me down a road that I'm on today.
That is so crazy.
So yeah, I went back, met him. I lived with him and his wife for 3 months, and so back then I made a whole bunch of John Stockton and Karl Malone and Dan Marley from Phoenix Suns. I made all their jerseys and shorts, and then I'd take them back home. I didn't understand the legality of it. I swear to God.
Yeah.
I swear to God. But I'd take them back home, and I'd take them out in front of the Salt Palace, and I'd sell them. I'd go down to America West Center, and I'd sell them. I'd sell them to all my buddies. I'd take orders all over my buddies. I'd ask my buddies to find buddies that needed shorts. I'd take prepayment. So I had the money, and
was that like fuel? Like that was enough to fuel everything financially speaking? You were making it. No, you were just doing it.
It would have been if I was smart, but you got to make every mistake along the way. So the second time I went back over, I bought even more. I took a loan from Wells Fargo, or not Wells Fargo, it was First Security Bank back then.
Mm-hmm.
My dad co-signed on a loan. I took a loan out and bought as much product as I could. Came back to the U.S. and I'm coming through customs. I have 4 big bags, and they're like, go to the left over here, and I'm like, well, I'm in a hurry. I got to make my flight, and ended up having to go through the line of customs, and they open it up, and it's just all this product. And I think then is when it really was like, hey, this shit's illegal,
Yeah, as you're getting in trouble for it.
Honestly,
didn't even cross your mind.
I obviously understood, but I didn't think how bad it was, so
you're like, nobody will care.
They took everything.
No.
They took everything. And so I had money out, and NBA fined me $10,000.
No way.
Yep.
Really?
And, it was a painful lesson. Yeah.
What was the lesson in that? Just don't do it illegal, or jump through the hoops?
Yeah, I think, when I think back on it, it's like, don't leap in and limp out, right? Like cross your T's, dot your I's, figure stuff out, button it up, or you're going to end up in trouble.
Yeah.
And
I can't believe it got to the NBA and they actually fined you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
the bright side of that story is I had one buddy that had said, hey, that NBA shit you make? He's like, one of my buddies coaches basketball in Milford, Utah. And he was wondering if you could make a set of uniforms for him. So I had driven out there to see this guy. It was Joe Hillock, who coached John Stockton at Gonzaga. Actually, I put Gonzaga. He ended up coaching at UCLA, coached at SU. Really cool guy, one of my mentors. But went out to see him, and I pull out all my gear, and he's looking at me. He's like, "Oh, damn!" He's like going through me. He talks really fast. And he's like, "It's the best stuff I've ever seen, Dusty. What's going on?" Like, "Oh wow!" He's like looking at. He's like, "This is tackle twill." I'm like, "Yes, tackle twill. Nobody else can get it." I'm trying to speed up to talk like him, kind of thing. And he goes, "How much is it?" And I had not even thought about it. I'm like, "Well, shit." So in my mind, I'm going, "Okay, it cost me this much. I'll do that." And I was like, I don't know, like $35 a uniform. And he's like, "A jersey?" I was like, "No, a uniform." He's like, "I'll take 4 sets." And I immediately was like, oh shit. Man, you got to do that research. Another slap in the face. Like, figure that shit out before you get in front of a coach. So
he jumped on that.
Yeah, took 4 sets, and then he called
was
me.
Was that officially the first
sale?
Yeah, that was your first deal.
Well, I mean,
right? Well,
first legal sale.
Yeah, that was your first deal.
So that set of uniforms was in all of that other stuff that got taken, and they returned that to me.
Oh, they did.
I had to pay a brokerage fee of $250, but they returned all that to me, and I sold it to him. And then he said, "Man, this is amazing. I can't believe how good it looks. Can I go sell for you?" And so he started selling right then,
way.
like right off the bat. And I was like, "Man, if this can work." But I was busy trying to become a doctor. I had my heart set on. I was a science senator at SUU. I'd cleaned up my ways and had straight A's and everything else, and really enjoyed that path. I was working at the hospital, and I was also working as a ski instructor and in a restaurant, trying to pay my way through college. And I'd actually started before I even met Jane.
Really?
Yeah. So when she came on, she was like, "What is this? Now where do you get these, and how you do that?"
Yeah.
And one of the cool things is, like, her first big Christmas gift to me when we were dating was a fax machine.
Why?
Because I was sending my orders by mail.
Oh, so you could fax.
So keep in mind, I know y'all don't remember this, but we didn't have internet, right? Like we didn't have email.
That is
So at school, when
insane.
you're doing a report, you're literally opening up books and studying and reading and marking and doing all that, right? So same thing. When I'm sending orders to the Philippines, I'm sending them in a letter with a design that I hand drew. This is the jersey. This trim is red. This trim is blue, and and so forth. So
That is amazing. And that
yeah.
So rewind a little bit on that too.
Okay.
Then. How did you meet Jane? So you're in the middle.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
sounds like your life is chaos in a good way. Like
Yeah, I was going
like
to school.
beautiful chaos.
Yeah. And by the way, I had some really amazing friends there at school. Always very fortunate to have good family, good friends around me, people that support me. I mean, even my mom, right? Like that's a good way to support you, to kick you out on your ass and say, figure it
But
out.
that's one of the best ways. And then also your dad to go and co-sign on a loan for you to go do this when it
Right.
probably to him
That
is
happened
like,
once.
he's like, yeah, that never happened again.
That didn't happen again.
He's like, you idiot. He's like, that's exactly
No, I
what
paid it off though. I never reneged on any of my deals. So
Good. That's awesome. That's awesome. So really good support group. And then like beautiful chaos of a
Yeah.
life. How do you go meet Jane?
and
How'd
then
that go?
okay, so I was playing intramural basketball. So I played a little bit of football there at SUU, and then we had an intramural basketball team we put together, and my best friend and I were sitting on the stands, and she walked in. And I just looked down, and she walked in with a bunch of also players on the football team.
Yeah.
So she walks in. I said, "Hey, Sean," I said, "wherever she goes, we're going to go sit by her." And she looked around.
You had your wingman already. You said, hey, you're coming with me.
She came right up and sat right next to me.
Let's go. She
Yeah.
is a badass, dude.
And Sean, he's like, he just leans back. He goes, "Oh my hell, you are the luckiest dude ever." He was from Southern California. He's a running back, and he fun kid. He's like, "You're the luckiest dude ever." She reaches over and she goes, "Hey, I know you." And I was like, "Oh, cool. Yeah." And she goes, "You date my friend Christy," who I was dating at the time. And I just said, I mean, I wouldn't call it dating. We hang out. We hang out, but I wouldn't call it
You're
dating.
trying to cover your bases. You're like, I'm available.
Yeah, there's no way I'm missing this opportunity. So, yeah, that weekend I took her out to a softball, fast pitch softball tournament in Nevada. All my family was there, so she kind of we're walking in, and I said, "Hey, I told them that we're boyfriend girlfriend. Do you mind holding my hand?" And she's like, "Sure." Like that's it's like the first time we.
No way.
Yeah.
You met her
Pretty cool.
that weekend. She's meeting your whole family.
That was like a Friday, Saturday or Sunday. We went out there and we hit it off. She's the greatest thing that ever happened.
You
to me.
didn't even give her an option. You brought her and you said,
No.
"Hey, I already told them you're my girlfriend. You kind of
No.
have to be." And it went
Exactly.
from there.
So, but there's a
That's
backstory
amazing.
to that too. So, I may have said that, and then I did call Christy, and we ended it, and she ended up dating the guy that walked in with Jane, which interestingly enough, and marrying him.
No
Which
way.
which is a cool story
Yeah,
too. They're
that's cool.
fantastic people. But I knew in a hurry I wanted to marry her. She was the one that she was so brilliant. She would challenge everything that I knew.
Mm-hmm.
She would challenge. Well, why do you think that? Now, how does that? And what about this? And she'd always make me think, and my mom had told me when I ran off to college, she had said, "Hey, find people that inspire and challenge you
Mm-hmm.
and hang with them." And this girl was like nothing I'd ever seen before. So, I
Well, good advice too. That is
Yeah.
great advice. That's crazy.
I use that today with my kids
yeah,
nonstop.
that's very cool.
I use it. I mean, you mentioned that earlier, and I thought, gosh, get rid of the stagnant. You had said in your text, like, how do you live life authentically, or how do you do this, or how do what's some advice for others? And that was one of the ones I had thought about. Is
That's
gosh, man,
amazing.
surround yourself with amazing people, right? Don't get rid of the negative, get rid of
Yep.
the stagnant.
yeah,
It's going to be hard. They might be family, they may be your dad, they may be, but get rid of that out of your life.
Yeah,
They're on their
100%.
own. They got to be on because this life, it's a one run go,
Yep.
and you can do amazing things if you have that clarity. You have these people that are constantly lifting you up and
I think
challenging
that
you.
gets underestimated. And just listening to you say that, it's like ringing super true. It's like, I think people underestimate how big of an influence the people around you have on you.
for sure.
And loyalty is a very, very important thing, but it also goes two ways. And if someone is like sucking energy out of your life in some way, or they're just dragging you down in any way, that's like,
Yeah.
they're breaking their loyalty there.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I tell my 17-year-old all the time, I tell I should be like get drained from a text. Like, don't text back. You have no obligation to text that person.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, don't text back.
Exactly. Dude, your kids are getting old. All your kids are getting everyone's
they are.
grown up.
Well, shit, they're your age. So.
I know. Shit. Holy cow. But I'm talking
Kiana,
about
you're 25,
even
right?
KJ, KJ and everyone's
Kiana's 26 today.
Yeah. Oh,
Happy
today.
birthday, Kiana. If
Happy
you ever listen to
birthday.
this, she won't.
Let's go.
She thinks
We'll just send her this
She still
clip.
thinks her dad's an idiot.
We'll just send her. She
Well,
probably thinks I'm an idiot too. She's like, what the hell are those two doing?
yeah, she's amazing.
She is. She's amazing. Okay, so then fast forward, you meet Jane.
Okay.
How long were you guys together before getting married? And then when you guys got married, like right now, it seems like you had 5 things going on, right? And PROLOOK or whatever it was called at the time was one of those 5 things.
Yep. So I was laden with debt already, and she and I get married, and we had a really tough engagement.
Really?
I was an egotistical ass. And I thought my way was always going to be I'd say, oh yeah, make a decision. And then I'd come in and overrule and double check. And she's not a person to accept that.
Yeah. She has her own way.
Yeah, that's not happening. So yeah, we had a really, really tough engagement. And so we got married. And then right after our marriage, we had a friend that was living in Korea teaching English and making a ton of money. And I said, we got to get out of debt. Do you mind if we take a little hiatus from school, go over? And I love school. I've listened to like Todd and those guys, like people that don't need school, they can go on and be brilliant. But I always loved school. I love listening. I love learning. And I still do. I love reading. I love all that stuff. But so she and I took off to Korea after being married for, I think, 3 weeks or maybe a month. She'll probably correct me. I'm sure. But it was about 3 weeks to a month. Took off to Korea with, just imagine back then you don't have a phone, right? You don't have credit cards. So
I can't imagine.
We had a few $100 in our pocket.
You're on an island, literally. Like you're like literally completely separated from everything. Yeah.
So we get there and we start teaching these classes. We had somebody connect us with one and then connect us with another. And I was just trying to make as much money. I think it's kind of like the modern day, go out and sell. Like security or solar, whatever it is.
You just gotta go get your money.
Yeah, go out and bust your ass, and it's up to you, and that sort of mentality, right? Like it's easy to get depressed and get burnt out, or for us, we'd burned the ships.
Yeah,
we were there. I had no plane ticket back.
Yeah,
so it was
gonna work out.
Yeah, and she and I we cemented our relationship. We became best friends, and learned to love and respect each other, and made enough money to pay everything off.
That's so cool.
Thankfully.
That was probably a super key part of your relationship.
Yeah, came back, had money for a car, everything.
That's so cool.
But,
that's very, very cool. I never knew that.
Yeah, I lived there for 2 years.
You were there 2 full years.
2 full years. Came back. I finished my degree. I had 1 quarter left. Finished my, I graduated in biology and double major biology and chemistry. And we were heading up to the University of Utah for med school. And we moved in with her parents up in Holiday, and I was already working in the summer for a doctor there. And we were doing this research. It was like olfactory sensitivity of zebrafish. Oh my, numbingly boring. Like just the worst.
You lost me on that, honestly. If you asked me to repeat that, I wouldn't be able to.
But yeah, anyway. So and meanwhile I was still working in the ER and stuff like that, getting all that. And we had Kiana, and I never saw her. So Kiana's, 3 months old. I'd come home at midnight, and I'd ask the doctors, like, does it get better? Does it get easier? And they'd say no. So Jane, understanding that her husband's going to be a doctor, one day I came home and I was like just heavy hearted, and I said, I don't want to do this. And this is right before med school starts.
Yeah,
it's like I don't want to do
this.
You're
like in it. Yeah. You're like right there.
Right there, yeah.
And what did she say?
And she goes, she challenged me a little bit at first. She goes, you've studied, you've done all this, like you got to this point, your degree is in such and such. She goes, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. And then she's like, all right, let's go. What are we going to do? Like immediately. And she was working at Gap. She was holding down, her end too of our relationship. And, yeah, so it was right there. I thought, okay, well, I want to make this work, so let's test it. And so I did a road trip through Northern California, through San Francisco, Berkeley, behind the mountains, Orinda and Miramani High School, like all of these areas back on the backside of there.
Yeah.
And I thought, if I can sell them, and they don't have any clue what my business is. If I can sell them the product, I got something here. So
Because you were still kind of like nursing this.
Yeah,
little-
I'd
as
get
like, was it
sales
like
through
a side-
Joe. Joe
Oh,
would
gotcha,
sell a little
gotcha,
bit, but I was just like, that just kind of fed in.
Just
and,
doing its thing.
yeah.
Cool.
So I did that. I sold every school I talked to. Every
Let's
one of
go.
them. So it was like,
Which probably gave you
20
so much
schools.
confidence too.
oh my gosh. And every one of them were like, wait, tackle tour. And so it's sewn on tackle tour, for those who don't know. Tackle tour is a sewn on numbering lettering.
Mhm.
And at that time, nobody had it. We did it. We invented it out of the Philippines. And so we brought up tackle tour was on the NBA. It was in the NFL, but not for high school teams, not for club teams, not for any teams. Nobody sold that.
Oh.
Everybody sold the product the exact same way.
Yep.
Everybody would start with a silhouette. They would build onto that. If you want a bigger size, it costs more. And if you wanted a patch here, it costs this. And it was just this really hard, arduous task for a sales rep to be able to sell. Because you had to walk them through this whole process. We came in, I made it easy. I just said, it's one price promise. It's $99. I increased a little
There
bit.
we
Went
go.
from $35 to $99.
There we go. Good
Tested
call.
it, thought about
Good
it,
call.
talked to everybody. It was $99 for a uniform. That's it. Whatever you want to do that uniform, you can do. So we kind of averaged it out. This is what it's going to cost manufacturing wise. And we dug in. I had to get damn good at manufacturing. I lived at the factory. There were some years I'd be there 8 months out of the year.
Was the factory out in the Philippines?
In the Philippines. But prior to that, so we left Salt Lake. We came down here. A buddy of mine worked at a company called PMI.
Mm-hmm.
We sold product over the phone. We sold really expensive product over a phone.
Yeah.
And I learned sales. I guess I've been on a mission, so I knew sales.
Yep.
I don't know if there's a better way to learn sales.
I
in
don't
that
think
way,
so.
But,
I think there are very few ways, if any.
But I learned sales that way, saved money, and we started the company.
Let's
So-
go. So you started with who? You
Me and my wife.
and Jane. That is
Yeah.
so sick.
Yeah, I still to this day I own 100%. Nobody owns part of it.
That's so awesome. That's
So-
awesome. And we're going to get to exactly where it's at today. So,
Okay.
which I'm excited to go and talk about because it'll be kind of an update and a refresher for me. And I followed a little bit, but I'm excited to get into detail.
Let me add this real
yeah,
quick.
please.
So when I was in California, I always have these. I need something in my head that I'm looking forward to. I don't know what you did when you were out working, like when you did your 175th or whatever it was. Like, were you just thinking about the money, or did you have a tangible object?
I had little things along the way I'd get myself, but mine
Yeah.
was literally just a number. Like, weirdly enough,
That's cool.
That was my like I remember I took a screenshot of that thing. It was my screensaver for a while. Like that was mine. But what was yours? Because I have done that too. I have like, if I hit this and when I hit this, not only do I get to go home, but I get to go buy a new car.
Yeah.
Right. And like that,
That's what I want.
it's
I wanted a
weirdly
new car.
fueling.
I wanted to give Jane a Cadillac Escalade. Escalades had just come out,
Let's go.
brand new. And, typical Dusty fashion, I hadn't really looked into how much they were, yada, yada. So I had done 3 full days in San Francisco, sold every school. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So I stop in at the Cadillac dealership and I told them, hey, looking at an Escalade. I'm brand new, dude. What am I doing? Right? Like, save your money, spend it on things that are more important, reinvest in your manufacturing, things like that, right? Go get a sales force. They had nothing. And this is an important lesson though. So I give the sales rep and he's like, we're walking out to the Cadillac Escalade. He's like, yeah, he goes, you want it black? Yeah. When he goes, any questions? I said, yeah, what's the gas mileage? And he's looked at me and he's turned around and walked right back to the dealer
Because
room.
he's like,
And I was
oh,
like,
no shot.
hey, did I say something wrong? And he just kind of turned and he's walking. He goes, if you got to ask about gas mileage, you can't afford this. And he just walked back. And that
What
taught
a
me a valuable
savage.
lesson, right? Like, don't waste time on someone that you're never going to sell anyway,
What
right?
a
In a business
savage.
environment.
What a savage.
Yeah.
That's a very
Brutal.
good- that is brutal.
So I put in my cassette tape of TLC and
your
drove off.
confidence,
Yeah, oh
your
my God.
confidence was right.
I'm
You're
a
going
nobody.
there, and then your
Yeah.
confidence leaving. Was
he's
down
right.
there.
I need to sell more. And so now I got a one by one, I started picking up sales reps and, I tried to do it because back then my thinking was there were a lot of brands we were going up against. There was Wilson, Rawlings, Russell, Speedline, typical brands back then. Nike wasn't even a player. Adidas wasn't.
Just because they hadn't gotten into it.
No, they were retail and they were focused on shoes.
Got it.
But within 3 years, they were in the game, right? And
Yeah.
they came in fast and hard.
Yep.
And so I was taking money from all the other guys, Russell, Wilson, and those guys. They couldn't pivot quick enough to battle us, and so we crushed. And I picked up a sales team. I learned that aspect. I learned management. Jane teased me because every night I'd be up with my spreadsheet figuring out, percentages and prices and how much I make, how much this guy has to make to be able to stay,
Yep.
kind of focused. And I had a tiered commission structure and all this. But in the end, and we did good. We hit in 2004. We hit 199, the Inc. 500. We were starting to make a name for ourselves. We started manufacturing for Nike. We started manufacturing for these a couple other brands here and there, like Adidas here and there and whatnot. But then the recession happened in 2008, and it was a complete slap. I wasn't ready for it. I didn't see it. When sales stagnated and dropped, I thought, well, it's just this or that. I rationalized. I didn't pivot. I wasn't ready. I wasn't looking for the next opportunity or figuring out how, if this is a dead product, I need to let that go and figure out something else, sort of thing. I just thought it was maybe we need to change our sales pitch, or you need to work harder, or that
and
sort of thing.
How long did that go on where you're like, oh, we need to
that
pivot
crushed
this,
me.
that? Like,
so I had just started a company called Pro Fields. It was synthetic grass. And a sales team, I had a sales team on that, and we were selling that nationwide, and we got absolutely demolished.
Really?
So I sold my house. I short sold my house to the Smiths.
There you go.
Yeah.
Wow.
Fantastic people. But Rogers, I always tell him, man, you saved me, man, buying that house from me.
Yeah.
But short sold that. We moved our family to Boston to figure it out. I was going to be living at the factory we realized what we had done wrong most of all was we never innovated. So as everybody else caught up to us, we didn't continue to innovate. And that's been just a mantra continually for us since that day.
Got it.
But I borrowed, a couple $1 million from friends. Imagine giving a dude, so he's blown his company. He's got no money. Imagine giving, just because of friendship, a couple guys that gave me, millions of dollars.
They just believed you were going to go figure it out.
Granted, they were making 25% interest, but the reason they were making 25% interest was because it was a risk.
Interest doesn't do you any good if you don't end up paying it. Yeah. Interest is not a safety blanket. That's only if he's actually going to go make it work. So they believed you were going to go.
Yeah, one of my buddies from Alamo, where I grew up, I had called him. I knew he had done well, and he goes, "Dust, this is my retirement. This is everything I got." He goes, Don't lose it. And so, with that in mind, and we'd make decisions that sounded risky, but at the same time, I never took that step that would have really put his money at risk. So
that's so cool.
But I paid it all back. We got out of it. When the next recession came, 2000, for the pandemic, I remember as soon as I realized that we had just opened up our third factory and it was in China.
Yep.
My model's a little bit different. I take ownership. I pay for ownership in each one of we control all the business that flows through the factories.
Got it.
So I have, at that point, I had two factories in Philippines, one in an eco zone and one off the eco zone. The eco zone is just a tax-free. You can bring fabric and whatnot in from Taiwan and China and all that. We just opened one in China and they shut down a week later. And we had invested all this money. And I'm like,
did you just have PTSD?
China. I'm like, they can't figure out their disease. In my mind, that's what I'm thinking. And my partner's like, no, Dusty, I think this is really going to be something bigger. I'm like, okay, yeah, like the bird flu or whatever,
Yep.
And then it hits everybody, and then when we figured that out, we're like, oh. And my factory had already shut down in China. Then my two factories shut down in the Philippines.
Yep.
And we had been smart. We had stashed cash and we had prepared for a time. But more than anything, I called Kiana, I called Mila, I called my kids. I said, look, it's us against them now. I've been through this before. It's hard. It's us against them. We have to figure this shit out together. And so Kiana moved back from University of Utah. She her and her boyfriend lived with us at the house.
Yep.
And one day, Jane was saying, hey, I think I have an idea. And one day, this is when I say one day, I'm 3 days into the pandemic.
Yeah.
She goes, why couldn't we make masks for all the teams? Custom masks with a design on them. And I was like, the teams aren't going to be playing, hun. So I don't see that happening. And then it evolved to, why couldn't we do this for companies? And then
just
unleash the floodgates.
Took off. Because you guys were I remember when you did that, just spectating. I remember when you guys were one of the only.
We were the only at that time.
The only.
Yeah, because I had my factory in China and I just spun it. We pivoted. We built out a design. Dan Mullins, our COO, and I built out a design. and it had a sliding adjusting piece for the mask. I mean, really, it was novel. It had it pinned down tight on the nose, had a nose bridge. It was multiple pieces.
Yep.
And it was a really comfortable fabric that also, filtered. Anyway, I didn't want to get in that. I hate masks.
Yeah.
But even though they helped
Even
and
though
made us a ton of money. We sold millions and millions of them. It's the craziest thing.
Because by the time
McDonald's and Costco and like all these millions and then teams and Kiana was selling University of Utah 150,000 masks. Boom. You know, and she's making a couple bucks each mask off it.
Yeah, bro, it's
so it was good money at that time.
So sick.
Anyway.
And no one could go and take that from you, because by the time they realized what you were doing,
we already had the
had
advantage.
it.
Yeah, we were first mover.
Because they had to go and they had to make their designs, get it manufactured, get it shipped, all that. And by that time, you're filling orders.
Correct, yeah. And then we just took, as we started coming out of that, we just took everything that we made and we reinvested it in manufacturing, in innovation, and doubled down on everything. To the point now where, so we just opened up our factory in Vietnam. It's a custom bag factory. So our specialization is custom, right? Custom products.
Yep.
We're not into stock as far as, buy a blank, build out 10,000 units of the same color. And we build a unit of one, everything's made to order.
Yep.
So when we take an order, it hits the cutters first. They're cutting the fabric. And, we make a lot of our own fabric as well. We have 17 circular knit machines that actually knit the fabric.
No, that's crazy.
But we'll take that fabric, cut it, and then it goes to sewing or
so you
embellishment.
literally own from 0 to 100.
Yeah, with partners.
Yeah, but you control. I mean, you guys. Yep. You're not going and getting something. Nope. You're not relying really on anybody.
And it's worked for us. It's really worked for us. And so when we go out and we're battling other manufacturers that don't, I mean, it's a big advantage for us.
Yeah, 100%.
So
100%. So the masks that got you through the pandemic. Honestly, did you guys, in comparison to business as usual, was the pandemic like you guys were thriving, or was it like you guys maintained, or like that is so
it was one of those
crazy.
Crazy one-off where
it's so crazy. That's like
just an anomaly. I want to say this too. So earlier when we hit the first recession, what pulled us out of that first recession was, I was thinking back, like who's still paying their bills, because customers were not paying their bills, right? Like every school in the US in 08 and 09, got hit with budget restrictions. And so, very few customers were paying. Who was paying their bills was like Nike. And so I thought, well, we need to spin off a company that's just manufacturing for other people. And so we did that, and that really helped us. We brought on Riddell, the football helmet, and that's our biggest customer, our most valuable customer right now. Great partners. Really helped us become better too. But we brought them on, and they're still great customers. All these partners are still partners today. Like, we don't lose anybody. So Nike, we ended up splitting ways with Nike just because they want us to take on all of their institutional, and that would have drowned us. Plus, at the pricing that they wanted us to accept was just not reasonable.
Yeah, it just
so it was one of those times when you have to say no. It hurts like hell, but you have to say no and move away from it. And it did us better. Now we have a stable of brands that we manufacture for, all of them from what we do best, which is customized sportswear.
Yeah.
So everything from batting jackets to uniforms to, hoodies and joggers. And
that's what I feel like is so unique. And you said it a little bit, you barely skimmed over it earlier. Like, oh, don't get married to one thing. Like, don't get married to one product or one way of doing it. And it's like, you're constantly, what'd you say? You guys constantly innovate, or whatever is like your go-to now is like, that's,
we're always ahead of everybody.
That's what I'm saying.
It's so
fun. You guys are literally doing.
Yeah, we came out with a one-ply reversible football jersey. So where you sublimate's when you print a design backwards on a paper, and then you heat press that paper, and the ink comes off the paper into the product. Like cycling jerseys or sublimate. That's like a popular, and it goes into the product, into the fabric, and that's your design. Then it's read right correctly, straight. And we'd sublimate both sides. So you can just flip the jersey over, like stuff like that. Like we
That's cool.
constantly are coming up with new, and now everybody has that,
Yep.
It's fun to see.
You're just always
when
on to the
everybody's
next
copying.
thing.
Yeah.
I love that. I think that's so
So-
cool. So now you're here. Now you're where you're at. Where does PROLOOK stand right now? Because I know a lot of people listening. A lot of people are going to be like, "Oh shit, I know PROLOOK." Like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then when they go and they hear, like, you guys are in a very, very unique situation. It's
Yeah.
really cool.
So you mentioned Bill Jarvis, for example. Bill
Yep.
runs our
love
the
Bill.
PROLOOK brand.
Yep.
So he's pushing that way. We just slowly are adding dealers. It's kind of this constant scaling of both the customer base and our manufacturing. You can't, because we own and operate the factories, we have to keep them level loaded, right? So you can't just dump on 100,000 units over a week and think that they can A, manufacture it on time, or B, not be in a worse position when that business is now gone,
Yep.
right? So you have to keep it level load. There has to be a steady track of orders coming through for everybody to stay busy.
Yep.
And that's where profitability comes from and efficiencies. So it's just slowly growing each one. So he's bringing on what we call dealerships in our industry, are called dealerships throughout the U.S. It's fun because, Utah, we dominate the landscape in Utah. We dominate in Texas. There's these areas, these pockets, but it's slowly we're, saturating the areas to a point where, it's been super fun.
Yeah.
We are that brand that slides in. We position ourselves with Bill and them. We position ourselves just right under the shoe brands where we slide in on quality, bang for the buck, where it's just a little bit less
Yep.
on price point.
That's
but,
awesome.
But above everybody else. We definitely are not in a race to the bottom. We keep prices high enough that
Yep.
can keep us growing and
Yep.
building great quality product.
And you can deliver a good
Yeah.
product. That's super cool.
Yeah, exactly.
That's very, very cool. So what's the game plan for, like, I mean, dude, you guys are just on a tear. You guys are doing
Right.
your
So then we
thing, like-
continue to build up our brands as well. We got into tech about 10 years ago. We started building customizers. So product customizers, where if you've been
I
on
didn't
our
even know this.
website, if you're going to design a uniform, as opposed to back in the day, right? Like
Yeah.
designing on a piece of
Little
paper
colored
and drawing it
pencils.
up. And literally colored pencils, which didn't fax, by the way. That was black and white.
Oh,
But,
perfect.
but little colored pencils or whatever it is. Nowadays, we have software built that does all that automatically. So the silhouettes are already there. You add your coloring, your designs. You can even add patterns on the back of it, and it does that automatically.
And you guys own that.
We own that. We sell it to other brands as well.
Wow, that's
So
cool.
we're selling. We have 220 in our software team in the Philippines. We carved out about 25,000 square feet, and there lives our software team. I hired a fantastic management team that runs it, led by a girl who is Filipina that graduated from BYU Hawaii and lives right there, and she is
That's
just
so cool.
so incredible. Has
Just
done a
killing it.
ton for the business, killing it, and we continue to grow that. We have extremely valuable people there as well,
Yeah.
on all sides, capable of. Yeah. Anyway.
Dude, I love that. I
So
love
so
that.
there's that side of it as well. I think, it's really helping us where we're focused on tech, and we've been focused on tech for quite a while, but it's really helping us, in that whole side topic of innovation.
Yeah.
We come in now for these brands, and we don't just have a product. We also, a quality product
You
is
have a
going
way
to
to
deliver on
create
time,
it.
but we also have what they need on the back end that would cost them millions of dollars. They can get it affordably through us.
That's so smart. Holy cow.
Yeah.
I love that, dude. So where you guys are at is really, really cool. And that's kind of, so now I've got a bunch of questions. I've got a ton of questions just to kind of like dig into how you think,
Yeah.
why you think the way you think, so on and so forth. But that's amazing. That's really cool. And I didn't know like 80% of that, by the way.
Oh yeah.
And I've had some really good conversations with you and with Jane at your guys' house when I was a lot younger and stuff. And I didn't know any of that. So that's really, really cool. So
I always liked seeing you at the house.
I would just kind of show
honestly,
up.
like,
Did you know that?
yeah.
I would just kind of show up, and I would always eat your guys' food.
Oh yeah.
Always. I would come over. You guys
I remember
had the
coming
best
home
snacks.
from lunch one day and Sydney Peterson's in our fridge. I'm like, oh, hey,
Yeah.
and nobody's there. She's like, oh, I was just grabbing some protein balls. I was like, okay, cool. Yeah. Fist
The
bump. And
protein
she's
balls,
out,
yes.
she takes off.
Yeah,
But yeah,
dude.
I loved you, kid. And I still do. Every time I come home from lunch and someone's there. But I always thought, for you, for example, I always thought you were so much like me. Kind of high strung, happy. Everybody's got their weaknesses, obviously, and their strengths. Weaknesses are easy to spot, right? Like those, they're blaring.
Yep.
And maybe only
They're
those,
blatant, yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
your strengths are kind of harder to find. And And I always felt like you and I kind of had similar strengths that way of being able to make friends easy and smile and talk and try to help, when someone's in need or whatnot. But yeah, the strengths, man. I just thinking if you had asked about advice earlier, that's what can make you special, right? Like you can always improve your weaknesses. That's easy.
Yep.
Work on it day after day, improve your weaknesses. But working on your strengths is what's going to separate you from everybody else.
I love that.
And so I've always tried to leverage the strengths that I have. I mentioned one of them earlier. One of those strengths, honestly, is reframing.
Yeah.
It's like, tomorrow's a new day.
There's a few points even in your story where we didn't stop and talk about it, but I'm like, damn, he's thinking of this totally different than you could. Like, it's a very optimistic way to think rather than, it really reframing a million other words for that is like, dude, you're just optimistic. You're super, super, like you're faith-based in the fact that things are going to work. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
In your story, at least as you're talking, I'm like, homie.
I'm faith-based as long as there's data there to show me it's going to work.
Okay, you're faith-based and you're analytical with it, but you believe in yourself is what I mean.
Yeah.
Like you are like, the part that I'm talking about in your story, I'll tell you, is like when you call your friend to go and ask for that money, he's like, this is my retirement. That's where like one of my weaknesses is like lacking a little bit of faith in myself. I would have like bowed out at that point. When it got heavy.
I asked everybody, I had to.
When it got heavy.
I knew I was going to succeed. I had
that's
to.
Really
I asked
cool.
everybody. I asked Todd. I was like, hell no. That doesn't look good. That's not a good investment. I asked literally everybody possible.
Yeah.
I was unabashedly, unashamed. Like, hey, listen, it's still a good thing. I still can make this work. I know how to do it. I've solved the puzzle. I just have to have the money to get us there, sort of thing. And so, it took a best buddy from home to really
so
trust
cool,
and move
dude.
forward.
Shout out to him too. That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's
for
really,
sure.
There's probably for every one of these stories though that works out, there's probably the best buddy 99 other times that lost all of his money.
Oh, I thought after I transferred the money, the final payment, I transferred all the money. I said, be honest with me. There's a little bit of a sigh there, like, oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Sure.
I didn't know if that was really going to happen.
Undoubtedly.
So, and he's like, well, yeah, it does. Like, he's
undoubtedly, dude. I love that. So, dude, and what you just said is really cool. And I've read that in a book before. And it was an interesting concept because I felt like what I was always taught was figure out like where you're proficient and stay proficient, but then figure out where you're lacking, like your weaknesses, and work on those and fix those. There's a book. I don't remember what book it is.
Strength Finder.
It might have been actually. Who's that by?
I don't know. My wife would tell you. We read a book a month. That was one of the books we read.
It might have been. It was a book I read like coming out of high school. I remember Casey had me read it. I don't remember the book though. And
I love
literally
Casey's list of books. I'm always poaching the shit out of
it. It changed my life, dude.
Yeah.
It changed I still read them. I go reread them. But literally that book, it hammered on like, dude, yeah, go work on like your deficiencies or your weaknesses, but like go like dump so much focus and energy into your strengths and you'll run so much faster.
Yeah, practice those things.
Yeah, what you're not good at, just find people that are good at it and get those around you.
Yeah.
Like if you're not a really creative person, find someone to go be around that's creative and you go dial your systems. You also
mentioned earlier like too, intuition, right? Like you got to listen to that. Like
you
the gut. I mean, don't miss the data.
Yep.
And don't be led by emotion, but you got to listen to your intuition.
For sure. So I have a question for you on intuition. This is totally, we're on a little rabbit hole off to the side now, but I'm totally okay with it. Intuition's a really weird thing. And to be honest, I didn't really learn. I didn't really learn about my own intuition until I was probably 23 years old. But I learned.
That's young.
But yeah. And I still am working on it. I don't know my intuition for sure, but like I learned the importance of intuition. It was like a massive, like life-changing decision logically that made zero sense. My gut was like, this is the right decision, made the decision. And immediately I was like, okay, that was the right. And like data then proved it was the right. It was really weird. My question for you is like, how do you discern intuition with other emotions? Like to me, and you probably are you're way more wise than I am. And I'm very new to it, but like intuition's like an unspoken, like really weird. How do you discern
First
intuition?
of all, no man has ever said those words. You're more wise than I am to
go.
me. Nobody has ever said that to me.
More wise than me.
That is just blatantly not true.
I think it is.
I don't know. I haven't put a lot of thought into that. I am definitely a person, we're born into this life in certain constructs and you're built by the influences in your life starting from childhood up, right? So your parents, and they're trying to do the best that they can, and they're feeding you everything that they feed you, and people around you, people you look up to, and you see that, and you're trying to process it all. It's important to me. I guess, first of all, it's important to find out who you are, like we talked about, find out your strengths and that stuff, find out who you are. But then it's important, and I don't know how to put this fragilely, but it's important for me that nothing passes an unbiased kind of bullshit litmus test.
Yep.
Right? Because you can speak to yourself, oh, yeah, this is a great idea. Oh, you can be led by emotion, and feelings don't let feelings guide you. But if everything's lining up, right? If everything's lining up, and I'm one that will put my heart and soul into something I believe in and want to achieve. I'll put everything into that. And then if it doesn't work out at the end, I'm also the one that reframes and just says, you know what? Wasn't meant to be. And I'll pivot and I'll go figure out something else. Right.
Yeah.
But I think for me, intuition is more when all of that stuff lines up. When the data meets, when the data meets what I'm thinking and feeling in my gut. We have something going on in the company right now that is very much that way, and the company is split. And I encourage debate. I encourage battle in everything that I say, because I am definitely not the smartest person in the room. Mm-hmm. So the company's split on one project. It's our new factory in Cambodia. It's extremely expensive, brand new, decked, got everything in it that we're going to need for this project. But nobody's ever done what we're going to attempt to do there. And so, my gut and my emotion, it's my idea.
Yeah.
I want that to work.
Yeah.
But it better pass that bullshit litmus test.
Yep. Right?
Because at some point, if I take us over that edge, we're in trouble.
Yep.
I mean, we're not going to be out of business, but we're going to lose significant money, and that can't happen. So, no, constantly along the way, double check. And that's why I'd say on the other side too, right? Like, you got to figure out what is truth, what is fact, because I think we use those words so cheaply in life. Oh, it's the truth, it's the facts of this and the right and the left and all this bullshit, right? Yep. But figuring out for you, what that is and what that means. And then once you come up with kind of what makes sense for you, you better challenge that every day. Find your blind spots. Don't accept that.
For sure.
Don't accept that every dang day. And so, I've had such an amazing life, fulfilled to the brim. And it's mostly because Jane is always challenging everything I think and believe, everything. And she pushes me in ways. And at first it doesn't make sense and it's frustrating. And I swear every time she is right. Every time I come back, you're right, honey. It's just about people and it's just about love. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
And we should help in every way possible. I'm a Republican and she's a Democrat, hardcore. Yep. She probably gonna be angry I even said I was Republican on here. But
we love
I tell you,
Jane.
dude, I have got to be the softest, kindest, thoughtful Republican that there is. Like, have you ever, do you watch Shane Gillis?
I do, dude. Yes, I do.
Nobody's born a Republican.
I love
I love, fiscal responsibility and being wise with your money and all of that. But I just, like, she's constantly pushing me to make sure I'm showing more love and more respect and not being a jerk. And I don't know.
So, dude, I love that. And that actually is a perfect segue. And it's crazy how fast time flies. So I'll be quick. I have a couple more questions, but I will be quick. I'll be respectful. So a big reason I wanted to have you on here, and I don't know if I've ever even told you this really, and I've always told you that I love you guys. You guys are awesome. I appreciate you guys always, always, always. Like, hopefully you guys know that and you can feel that. But like, a big reason I wanted to have you on here, when I was coming through high school, I don't know who it was or why, but I was like, the only thing I'll give myself credit for, because I was a punk in high school. And like, we talked about this a little bit before starting, like, I was always getting into something. Like, but I was having a great time. And I never, ever, ever had.
You were just there for the view.
Dude, I literally was. Yeah. I was there for
fun. Let's see where it goes.
Exactly. And I never had ill intent ever.
I
know
like those feelings.
And I loved it. And I wouldn't change a single thing. I loved it. But one thing I will give myself credit for was coming up through high school. And I don't know why. And I've tried to figure this out and I have ideas, but I always looked for people that I looked up to in different aspects. Always. I was always looking for, and it was always my friends' parents. Like very rarely did I find
That's interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Scott's one of my favorite people. And
Dude,
I'm sure you equally respect and love him.
I love him.
But yeah,
like,
that dude,
that's my homie.
when I think about who I'd want to influence my kids, he's definitely one of them.
That's my dad. Yep. Papa's dude, Scott, he's awesome. And we didn't always have, and hopefully he doesn't take this the wrong way at all. We didn't always have like the best relationship. I think parents and kids, it just happens. Right? It's like someone else's dad that's the exact same is way cooler just because it's not your dad.
You could say the exact same thing.
Exactly. And like growing up, I think you get over that. And like, dude, he's one of my, like literally probably one of my best friends. I'd call him before most of like my homies for homie advice. Like Scott's awesome. But in high school, I always looked for, and it was very, very often, we were talking about Steve, even Steve Wollaston. Like he was one of those. There were few parents. You guys were one of them though. That's what I'm trying to get to. Sorry, this is very long-winded. There were a few things though. There were a few things that were very different. Number one, obviously I looked up to you guys, and you guys were like role models on like a financial, fiscal, like business. Like you guys crushed it. Your house is amazing. We would always go to your house. It was the fun house. Like I knew you were killing it, right? But like weirdly enough, there were other things. One of them being your relationship with Jane was super unique to me, and really cool. And then your relationship with your kids, and then your kids' friends. Because like we were talking before this as well. There were moments where like were
you ever afraid of me?
This for sure, but not in a bad way. Like I not like, oh, I'm scared of Dusty, like hide from Dusty. I would walk right, like if you were there and I was there before Keon, I would walk in and hang out with you. Like I felt that comfortable, but I never wanted to go beyond your bad side. I remember like there were times where our friends would do something that was just so dumb, and most parents would probably like diss out, like, you're not allowed to hang out with my daughter, like don't ever come back.
No, I've never been that type of
No,
person.
you weren't. And it was like, but I didn't ever want to get on like the bad side. So my question for you and all of that is, what advice do you have? And I haven't really asked this question on this podcast much. I'll break it into two. So first question is like, what do you think it takes to go and take a relationship all the way? And like, and I know your guys' relationship's probably not perfect. And that's one thing I've learned is there's always struggles, but your guys' relationship is definitely like from everything that I gathered and everything that I witnessed. And I know there's so much that I didn't see, totally something to go and strive for in relationships. Like, what do you think makes that happen?
Yeah. So John Wooden has a famous quote, right, that says, always find the best way instead of just pushing it your way, right? Like, I think with any conversation, business, personal relationships, whatever, if you're engaged and you're arguing to win an argument, you're going to fail every time. Even if you did win the argument, you lost. A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still, right? Like you still lost. You lost. And so for me, I think more than anything else, every conversation I'm trying to push, listen, if it's the kids and they're telling me something, I'm trying to listen. And I don't do this well. I'm the most intense with my own children. I'm so intense. And they always tell me, Dad, you're so intense. My Sella always says, my friends are so afraid of you. I'm like, what? I'm like the easiest, like cuddly dude ever. Like, apparently I am. But always be looking, always be listening and looking to find the best results. Like what long-term, short-term is going to, like, where can we figure that out together? And if you're just looking at like, I'm right, and that's why, and because of this, like we talked about before with facts. And then the other thing is, like, this is something that I kind of put into action about, I would say, probably when we were in Boston, when we had just left Boston.
Yeah.
And we came back here, was just, as a leader, everything is your fault. And that's hard, right? Because in a relationship, it could be the smallest thing. But if you genuinely approach everything that way, and I don't mean some bullshit, oh, it's my fault, sorry, it's my, like that stuff. You have to be genuine. For example, let me give you a stupid example. If Jane's frustrated that her key, she didn't have her keys, and she's like, where's my key? And I'm like, oh gosh, I saw, you know what? That's my fault. I should have put that here so you had those near. Like genuinely, I want everything to roll into, fall into place and to work for those I love around me. And
that's cool.
And I don't know, I just, so as long as that happens, and I think it happens less with my children, I will give them that break. It's always, Dad thinks he knows everything. But with Jane and with the company, It doesn't matter what goes on. I always want to, that's my fault. I put that person in that, I put him ahead of that project. That was my fault. Yeah, he completely messed up. He ruined the entire, that's my fault. I should not have put him there.
Yeah.
You know, or I should have seen the signs. I should have dug in and listened sooner or closer. You know, that's my fault. And I think if you have that mentality, it's hard to be mad at a person that's like that, right?
Yeah. 1,000. It's impossible.
Like, how are you going to get
It's
mad
impossible. Yeah.
You know, and so then
That's
that just,
super smart.
if you can always have level-headed conversations and then you find everybody else does the same thing.
Yeah.
Like my management team, I hear them all the time. Yeah, you know what? That was my fault on that. And I'll be like, no, that was my fault. You know, and then it's kind of like
And there's no hard feelings. Let's just move on and get the problem fixed.
Oh, yeah.
That's so cool.
And even in those really like heated debates where we're talking about something like this project in Cambodia, like everybody's listening. And, you know, I've had people that are newer on the team come up and go, gosh, you and so-and-so were really yelling at each other. You know, I'm like, did you see us afterward? As soon as we decide, we're like, hell yeah, let's do this, roll. And then we high five, we walk out of there. But we're going to push what we think is right at the same time, listening intensely to what the other side is. But yeah, no, I think it's that. It just, those two things.
Love that.
If you can, if you can always be working and trying to find the best results, you know, and then secondly, if you admit your fault, stop seeing that you're perfect. You're not perfect. I'm the farthest thing from perfect.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And I love that. I love that answer.
Sitting here with my Irish coffee. I'm the farthest thing.
There
from
we
perfect,
go.
So.
I love that answer because I guess for me, and maybe this isn't for everybody, but this is just for me. I learned like lessons in business and I'm super easy to apply them to business. Like always take fault. Like I feel like I do that okay. And I'm getting better at it.
Do that in reverse.
But what I'm saying is in relationships, I'll argue to be right. Right. Yeah. Apologies to Simone.
Right. You'll give your
girlfriend.
customers every break.
Yep.
Will you give your most dear and loved individuals that break?
That is crazy. I love that. Okay, man. So, I mean, dude, an hour's flown by. I have one last question for you. I'm sorry. One last question for you. So, one thing. So, the name of the podcast, Today's the Day. The premise of that is like, dude, today's the day. Yesterday already happened. It's done. Tomorrow, we have no control over it. But today we've got. And one thing that you've always been very good at, in my experience with you, and that's all of the parties I've been to at your house, the 4th of July parties. And then even when we're just hanging out or going to a school dance and we do dinner at your house or whatever, you have a very crazy, hectic, busy life at work. And I understand that and I realize that. But weirdly enough, when you were at your house, you were 100% present in every situation that I was a part of. And I know that's not perfect. And I know you probably don't do that all the time, but dude, you were like, you would sit down at the table and hear about like high school drama and like, I don't know if you actually cared, but we thought you cared. Like you wanted to hear what we had to say, which is super unique because I find myself I don't even probably have half of what you have going on, having a hard time being present. And like, I think that's one of the biggest secrets in life is like finding a way to go be present. What do you have to say to that or how or whatever? And that's my last question for you. I promise.
Yeah, that's cool of you to say because that probably means more than anything else, right? Like my dad always said, you know, it's not how you treat those that have a lot to give. It's how you treat those that have nothing to give. And so I'm not saying you kids at that time
I had nothing to give. That is a fact.
I've always been genuinely interested in it. Oddly so, Jane would be the first one to be like, why are you talking to the taxi driver? You know, and I'm like, I want like, where'd you come? What happened? What happened after that? And then how did you do this? You know, like, I don't know. I love life. I love life. Life is amazing. And I love human interaction. Love learning about everybody. I love you kids, man. I know you're not a kid anymore. You're a freaking grown-ass man now. But
pretty much.
I do. I love you kids.
I
just love learning, I guess, more than anything else. And understanding why you're what you are and why you choose what you choose. And I love that. Like that should be life. If we could all just love, you know, and not worry about who's doing what, as long as it doesn't affect someone else.
Yep.
Live how you want to live, man.
Yep.
Like
I love it. Dude, Dusty, I freaking love you, dude. I appreciate you more than you know. Thank you so much for making it. And then as always, everybody, thank you for tuning in. Till next time, much love. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. As always, it was a blast for me. I hope you got something out of this. If you got something out of this video of value, share this with a friend and please go show your love. We're on all streaming platforms, including YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. Any ratings, comments, likes, shares, they go a very long way and they make it so I can keep doing these things for you. and I would appreciate it greatly. So please go share with a friend. Until next time.